Hey everyone, it's Sydney, and today I'm going to talk about 5 ways you can get your emotions to work for you instead of against you. And this is a topic that is really close to my heart because it's something I had to figure out for myself a couple years ago, back when I was not in a good place, basically. I was really stressed out and overwhelmed. I was sleeping like 3 hours a night, and the whole while I was just getting down on myself about everything, on not being able to deal with everything that I was supposed to do. So I thought I was just like useless. I was telling myself, you're useless and you don't know how to deal with anything. And if you ask for help, that means you're weak. And I was even telling myself that I didn't deserve to be unhappy because I was so unhappy. And at the same time, I was also telling myself, you don't deserve to feel this unhappy because your problems aren't big enough of a deal. So, I was just really, really sad just every single day and practically delirious because I wasn't sleeping and getting down on myself a lot. And yeah, it was not a fun time at all, and I had no clue that what I was doing wasn't normal. And when I did, then I was like, okay, enough. And now that way of speaking to myself, that internal dialogue that I used to have, and the emotions that I used to have, they're completely gone, which is amazing. And so I just wanted to share 5 things that you can do, like right now, that can help you use your emotions to work for you instead of against you, like what I was doing. Okay, let's go. All right, so the first thing you want to do is to observe your emotions. That was something that I had no clue how to do at the time. I was completely identified with my emotions. If I felt sad and useless, that meant I was sad and useless. And that's not a fun place to be at. So you want to be able to observe your emotions so you're no longer identifying with it and saying to yourself that you are what you're feeling. And a couple of things you can do is, when you're approaching looking at your emotions, come from a place of curiosity and love. Basically, what that means is when you're feeling bad about something, you're not sure why, or you think you know why, instead of judging yourself for it, like, dang it, I'm thinking negatively again, I want to be more positive and blah, 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 you're looking at it like, I guess I'm feeling this right now. Interesting, right? You're just looking at it like it's really curious, and coming from a place of love just means that you accept that part of you that's feeling that way, and you're like, it's okay. What that looks like is, about a year after I sort of come out of my depression, I was really nervous about that same voice that I had in my head coming back to me. And then one day it did. It came back when I was late for something. And so it was in my head, and it was yelling at me and telling me how useless and stupid I was. And gosh darn it, Sidney, you're screwing up again. I was listening to it. I was getting really upset. And then after that, suddenly I was like, whoa, wait, why are you here? And then I suddenly went like, I know you're not trying to actually hurt me. You definitely, this part of me, it's definitely somehow trying to help me. So what's going on? And I basically had a conversation with that part of myself that was attacking me. And I went, I forgive you for all the nasty things you've ever said. And I know that you're trying to help me somehow. So what is it? And I actually got an answer. And since then, it hasn't come back. I turned that part of me into an ally. And it's very useful to do that. Another way you can observe your emotions is actually to look at it on a physical level. We're so quick when we feel something to give a label to it. I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling upset, blah, blah, blah. And then the moment we identify what emotion we're feeling, we give a reason for why we're feeling that way. I feel angry because of that person. I feel upset because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And we just go through and judge it so quickly. This is basically stopping that process and looking at what you're actually doing physically. And I got the idea of doing this actually from a study, which I think is quite hilarious. And what it is these men cross a bridge, and at the other side of the bridge, they're met with an attractive woman who tells them that she's doing a study. And basically what happens is that they the guys who were doing the study, they try and figure out which group of guys finds her more attractive and thinks they're more attracted to her. So one group of guys crosses the bridge, and it's a rickety bridge. It's really terrifying, and when you're crossing it, you're like, oh my god, is the bridge gonna collapse? So when they get to the other side, their heart is pounding, they feel a lot of fear and anxiety, and then they're meeting this attractive woman. And for the other bridge, it's a steady, sturdy bridge, you know, they just cross the bridge, their heart rate isn't up or anything, and they meet that same woman. And it was the group who went through the rickety bridge that actually found her more attractive because their heart rate is up and they're crossing the bridge and they're scared for their life, and then they see this attractive woman. When they see her, they're like, oh my gosh, my heart rate is up. I feel all nervous and sweaty. And they basically took that feeling that they had and attributed it to the woman. And when I read that study, I was like, I wonder how much I do that with just random things, not specifically attractive people, but just everyday things where you think you're feeling a certain way and then you give it certain meaning. Really, you don't actually have to do that. And I find this very helpful to just pause and look at what the feeling is in my body instead. So let's say nervousness. I'll be like, okay, before we move on, what is it exactly? Okay, my jaw is feeling tense, you know, my stomach feels unsettled, I'm bouncing my knee, something like that. And I'll just break it down into what it is I'm doing and feeling on a physical level. And that tends to bring down the sense of that emotion, the extremes of that emotion very quickly for me. And it's very helpful. So those are some ways you can observe your emotions. Okay, point number 2 is to choose how you want to feel. To decide on a consistent basis what it is you want to feel, and then do that. This is something that, you know, back in the day, I had no idea you could do. And frankly, we as human beings, we generate our emotions all the time. I mean, just look at someone who's watching TV. It doesn't make any sense for them to be feeling anything. They're sitting in a chair in a perfectly safe environment, but they could be feeling elated and super duper happy or really sad. And it's all because of a bunch of moving colors on a screen. Very strange, us people, aren't we? And basically what you do is you decide what it is I want to feel on a regular basis. And once you know what it is that you want to be feeling on a consistent basis, on a daily basis, then you'll be more able to identify when you're not doing that. Another thing you can also do is identify the hell no's, right? So for me, after everything I went through, there were certain things, certain patterns of behavior that were a hell no for me. I'm like, I am never, ever doing that again because it feels crappy. It doesn't help. I'm not gonna do it anymore. And so now when I can see the same thing again, because I'm like, I know you, I've been there, we've hung out before, and I'm not gonna hang out with you again. There's that as well. And that's all part of choosing how it is you want to feel. So yeah, choosing your emotions, deciding what it is you want to feel, and then every single day doing something, creating something, or just taking a moment to feel whatever it is that you want to feel, and creating that pattern and habit, which brings us to point number 3. All right, so the third point is to alter your pattern of thoughts and emotions and create new habits of emotion. And I got this one actually from The Power of Habit. And basically there's this man in the book who loses the ability to create new memories. And so at one point what happens is that he lives with his wife, and his daughter would come and visit them. She would talk to him, then she would go into the next room and talk to her mom, and then after that she would, you know, say bye, and then say goodbye to him and then leave. And of course he isn't able to remember that they've had a conversation, so to him it's like, she just came in and then she's leaving now without even speaking to me, what's going on? And then he would get mad. And this would happen again and again, and it created a habit that whenever it was that she would come and then leave, he'd be like, I don't know why, but I'm just mad right now, because he had created an emotional habit around his daughter coming and leaving, and it would generate anger. And so we all do this, and we all have certain things that we do that consistently generate the same emotion. And because now we've already decided what it is you want to feel, when that happens, when you're starting to feel that emotion that isn't serving you, isn't helping you, you're able to identify, oh, that's one of my hell no's. I don't want to have this. It creates a behavior that doesn't help me. It's an emotion that doesn't help me. So what is it? You can slow down, pause, observe it, like I said, and finally, when you're able to observe it, you're able to stop that habit loop, right? Because a habit is basically a cue, whatever the cue is, the routine, and then the reward. So it has an entire cycle to it. When you break the cycle and do something else, then you break that habit loop. And the more you do that, the weaker and weaker it becomes. And so then you're able to gain better control over your emotions. Okay, point number 4. This is to focus on the progress instead of the end result that you're trying to get. For me, when I was slowly coming out of all my poor emotional habits and all that junk, it was not easy. It wasn't easy, and I would slip back into some old habits pretty often, which also included a lot of poor emotional habits. And I would sometimes get down on myself on that. And of course, back to observing your emotions, then I would have to do that, observe it, non-judgment, with love and curiosity. And so now what I want to do is talk about focusing on the progress you're making, to, look back at how far you've come. Because at times when we do something that makes us feel like we weren't really being ourselves, like you snap at someone and you're like, oh, I'm not really someone who wants to do that kind of thing, it can feel really bad. It can feel like you totally messed up and made a mistake. But the thing is that your success is actually the progress you make, not a particular end result, which also means that failure, on the other side of that equation, isn't a particular event. It isn't when you snap at a particular person. It isn't when you mess something up. It isn't when you start to get back into your emotional habits. The failure comes from the consistently doing things that you know aren't a good idea and then not doing anything about it. And of course, you can always decide to move out of that. There is never a point where you are forsaken in any way and don't deserve to come out of poor emotional habits. So focus on the progress you're making, celebrate your rewards, don't get too down on yourself if you mess up, because that's for improving as you go, because we all mess up anyway. All right, point number 5, last point of today, is to stop seeking happiness. A lot of us try to get happy. We're trying to become a happier person, like it's some kind of thing you can attain, and it's like, whoa, da 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 da, prize. No, not true. And if you try and do that, you'll probably start to do kind of what I used to do, which is when you're not feeling happy, you're like, dang, why am I unhappy? I shouldn't be feeling unhappy. Not feeling happy is not a good idea. And then you start to be unhappy about not being happy, and it's just ridiculousness. So that's what point 5 is all about. You want to stop seeking happiness, because happiness is something that's available to you anytime you like. You can be happy right now with me. Let's go. No flippin' reason, just hanging out together, feeling good. And that's it. You don't really have to gain anything or do anything in particular to feel happy or deserve to feel happy. You can just feel it whenever you like, and no one gets to tell you otherwise, not even yourself. You get to be happy whenever you like. And when you're unhappy, that's cool too. You don't have to dwell on it. Again, I already told you about how to observe it and get past it and everything. So no judging the unhappy parts as well. Those happen, whatever. You just notice what it is and move past it. No point trying to attain happiness or avoid unhappiness. It's all good, and we can feel happy right now. The last thing, bonus, 6th point, I just decided, is a sense of oneness. Okay, now this is a bit different from everything else that I've been talking about, and this is basically going to help with all the other 5 points I was talking about. And so often in our lives, in society. We celebrate our individuality, and we celebrate how, we're unique and different from everyone else, and we have our own unique way of contributing and being, and we've got our own personality, and no one else is like us, and no one else ever will be, and that is truly great. I think it's worth celebrating. It's awesome. However, thing is, we are also all part of each other. We are one individual, unique whole that doesn't require anything else to complete it, and at the same time, we are also part of a greater humanity. And the thing is that when you're part of that, you are also a vital part of it. There's no one else like you, right? Which means no one else can fill the role that you fill. That means that the world can't truly ever be against you. So if you're ever feeling down, and if you're ever feeling like things aren't going your way, and your negative emotions are taking control of your life, always know that the world can't ever truly be against you, because you are a vital part of it. All right, so to recap, we have observing your emotions, we have choosing how you feel, we have altering your emotional habits, we have focusing on your success and your progress versus all the times that you mess up, and we have at last the fifth point, which is to stop the seeking happiness. Bonus number 6, which is to feel the oneness and how you are part of everyone else. And you can also do that by meditating, by the way. Just last things. All right, so that is all for today. If you liked it, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and also subscribe if you haven't. That way I'll be able to send you more and more videos. Also, don't forget, leave a comment so that I know what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want more or less of, so that these videos can improve and be more and more tailored to what it is you need to hear. All right, that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye. I'll see you next week.